Congressman Dave Min, a Democrat from California. He is on the Oversight Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. The White House denies that the president made the drawing, sent the letter, or signed it. What's your view?
Look, last week we had the opportunity to sit down with 6 survivors of Epstein's sex trafficking ring, heard their horrific stories. But one thing that one of them said really stuck with me. Girls and young women around the world are watching right now to see what happens here. And that we, right now, those of us who care about justice, who care about protecting girls and young women, we owe a duty not just to these survivors, but to girls around the world right now to show that America is not going to tolerate a sex trafficking ring of this scope, not let this go unaccountable. But unfortunately, what we've seen right now is a cover-up that goes all the way to the top. Remember back that in July, Donald Trump called this whole thing a hoax and later denied that this birthday letter ever existed. Now, I want to just point out, this letter was sent to the Oversight Committee by the Epstein estate. It didn't come out of the ether. It didn't come from some random place on the internet. It was produced by the Epstein estate and only under subpoena. So if this is fake, as Trump is claiming, and note that this is not a person known for his honesty, nor is Caroline Leavitt or anybody else saying that this is fake. They're not known for their honesty. Who would have given this to the Epstein estate like 30 years ago? That's the question that they can't answer right now. This was produced to us. Nobody planted it. So it looks real to me. But again, this looks like a cover-up going all the way to the top. Going back to last year, when you had Kash Patel, Pam Bondi promising to release the Epstein files, then refusing to do so once they actually realized that Donald Trump's name was all over these files.
You say it looks real to you. Can you prove it? Is there a way to prove that it's Donald Trump's signature? And in the end, what does it matter?
So I think as far as proof, what are we going to do? We could have forensic people look at that. That's not my role. I am a lawyer. I was a prosecutor earlier in my career. I think we look at the weight of the evidence. Where did this letter come from? How was it produced? What's the chain of authentication? Here, the fact that it came from the Epstein estate and not from somewhere else, that was only produced under a subpoena, tells us a lot about the authenticity of this letter. As you guys pointed out earlier, the signature seems to match. Some of the language sounds a lot like stuff that Donald Trump would say. And again, I just look to the lack of honesty from Donald Trump and his cohorts over the last year on this whole topic. They've said that this whole thing is a hoax. You had Pam Bondi parading around the Epstein files, phase 1. You had her claiming that she had the Epstein list on her desk and then later walking that back. Somebody here is lying, and I think it's the Trump people, honestly.
I want to ask you about that other picture we showed briefly of that novelty check with Jeffrey Epstein there, part of the book also, where it talked about basically selling a woman with depreciated value. Now, the check has a fake signature from Donald Trump that really doesn't look anything like his. There's no reason to believe that Trump was any way involved with this thing here. But I guess my question is, you were talking about the girls and protecting the girls. What does this tell you about the whole atmosphere that existed at that time and the way it was discussed so freely?
Yeah, one of the things that all of the women spoke to us about was how they felt commodified. And they were between the ages of like 12 and 22 when they were victimized. And all of them felt like they were disrespected, that they were talked about as things rather than as people. And you saw that whole attitude permeate Epstein's inner circle, and I think at this point it's clear that Donald Trump was part of that inner circle. So, and we've seen that in other aspects of Donald Trump's life, when he talks about grabbing women by their genitals, when he talks about walking in on beauty pageants unannounced so that he can watch women changing or girls changing. We've seen that this is just kind of the casual misogyny, disrespect for women that we've seen come out of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
Again, I do want to say we have no reason to think that he was in any way involved with that check itself. Also, no reason to think he's conducted any wrongdoing involving Jeffrey Epstein. You noted, you're a prosecutor, you're a lawyer here, there's this defamation.
I would say we have lots of reasons to think he was involved in wrongdoing. I mean, at this point, there's a lot of smoke. There may be some fire, but I would just push back and say I think there's a lot of reason to think Donald Trump was involved.
Involved with what? I'm sorry, what exactly, what proof do you have that he was involved with wrongdoing in regards to Jeffrey Epstein? And if that's the case, why have there been no prosecutions over 20 years here? Because there haven't really been any allegations that he was involved with wrongdoing.
There are a lot of connections where Donald Trump was named, right? We had a 14-year-old claiming that she was raped by him, then withdrew that claim after she was apparently threatened. His name appears a lot. And again, we at this point, our job is to find justice for these survivors, and that means that we need to continue digging, knowing that there is a cover-up taking place right now. And I didn't say that we have proof. At this point, we have like a lot of smoke. But Donald Trump's name is clearly mentioned multiple times. We've seen him lie over and over about things that we now know to be true. So again, I think that we, as the Oversight Committee, we owe an obligation to the girls, the American people out there, to keep digging and find out the truth, whoever's involved.
Again, Donald Trump has not been named in any connection or charged with any wrongdoing there. Ghislaine Maxwell, take this for what it is. But Ghislaine Maxwell said, she never saw Donald Trump or anyone, for that matter, engaged in any wrongdoing connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Dave Mint, Congressman from California.
I will just point out that Ghislaine Maxwell was indicted for perjury after she made that statement that you mentioned, transferred to minimum security prison in Texas. So, again.
Look, Speaker Johnson sat right here and told me he doesn't really believe anything Ghislaine Maxwell says. I was merely stating what was in that transcript, but there are plenty of people on both sides of the aisle who don't put much weight in it. Congressman Dave Mint, thanks so much for being with us.